We've been talking about information systems projects. Now, one type of project in particular is developing a new application. Now, when developing a new application, it still follows, our standard project management processes, but it also brings something new in, and that is a life cycle, and more specifically, a systems development life cycle. So let's go ahead and take a look at the SDLC and how it integrates into developing an application. So starting off, when developing a business application, there's really two main categories of these applications, and that's organization-centric and end-user-centric. Now, organization-centric is the type of application that deals directly with the organization and helping the business to do better. So we're dealing with collecting data, collating it, storing it, archiving it, processing it, all the things you think of when you think of an application, maybe a database back-end application that allows customers to interact with it and it helps drive the business itself. Well, there's another type of application, and that's the end-user-centric application. What that is, it's a little different, and it just provides users with a different views of the data. So it helps the users themselves to be more proficient when dealing with the data. So those are your two main types. Now, when it's decided to build a new business application, it's usually initiated by a couple different options. The first of which is opportunity. That's key there, opportunity. So it's opportunity to maybe sell something to new customers, or opportunity to open up a new line of business, or create a new widget, if you will, or open up in a new geographical area. Next is addressing some type of problem, and it could be a problem with a process that you have in place or with technology that your company is using. And lastly is the need to interact with some other system, maybe a partner system or a customer system, or allow their system to interact with you and you need to tweak yours a little bit. So those are the three situations in which would drive the development of a new business application. So now let's go ahead and take a look at this System Development Lifecycle, or SDLC. And there's 6 steps in this. And the first of which is a feasibility study, which we just talked about. And that's where we're analyzing the benefits and the solutions of whatever this project is to see if they are going to help the business out. Is it feasible? Is it really going to work? And then we're going to define requirements. And really what we're looking at here is making sure that the problem or opportunity that's driving this is going to be solved by this new application. Then we move to selection or design. This is where we kind of branch out. So we've got selection and design. We're going to go 2 different ways. Now, selection means that you're purchasing, so you're buying a new application from someone. Or design, meaning you're building an application in-house yourself. So we'll say buy or build. There we go. Now, if we go with the buy, we're going to create an RFP, or request for proposing. And this is a document where we put all of our requirements into and we send it out to vendors, and it allows them to bid. It's kind of an invitation for the vendors to bid their solution to us, along with meeting all of our requirements and providing us pricing so that we can get an idea of all the different options we have. But if we go with build, then we're going to design our own, right? So we need to outline the specifications, or our specs, and the requirements, and what are the objectives of this application. So we need to get all these things outlined. And we can do this actually a couple of different ways. The first of which is an entity relationship diagram, or an ERD. And what an ERD does is shows how the data is related. So we might outline the different types of data and how they communicate to each other and how they are related. And it also allows us to establish a naming convention that will be used throughout the project. Now, once we get all of this part of the building here, we've outlined all of our requirements, we got all the objectives in there, all the specs, and we have a plan in place, then we have something called a software baseline. And that is where we have decided this line right here is where everything after this line, because we've done all this planning, if we're going down the timeline here, we've done all this planning and we've gotten all of our ducks in a row and we're ready to go with this project. So we draw this baseline. Now, after the baseline, everything down here, when a change is made, it has to go through a change process or a change review process. And that's because at some point in time during a software design project, we need to say, this is it. Because if we don't, we're just going to keep adding little things here and there, and it's just going to snowball effect, and it's going to cause lots of problems in the project. So during the project, there's that point in time where we say, this is what our product is going to be. This is what we're making. This is our software build. And that is known as the baseline. Moving on to step 4, configure or develop. Now, the configure, we'll say our configure is if we're buying the application. Once we get it, we need to configure it to meet our needs, because when we get a new application in, it's got to be tweaked and set up. But if we're going to build it, then we need to go through the process of developing the application. And once that's developed, we go through final testing and implementation. And this is where we are going through and we're doing our UAT, or user acceptance testing. And we're making sure that the application is doing all that it's supposed to. It's functional. The data is coming out as it should. And the end users are saying it's functional. At this point, we can go through and do something called certification and accreditation, which we'll talk about in later videos. And lastly, we have post-implementation. And this is where we take a look at things like lessons learned, which is what did we learn from this project, and how can we take this and make us better at future projects. We also look at the system to make sure it's meeting all the goals, and we look at the projected ROI that came from our feasibility study to see if that ROI, or return on investment, is what we thought it was going to be, or if it's not. And that wraps up the 6 steps of the System Development Lifecycle, or SDLC. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing. Thanks for watching, and subscribe here to get the latest from CBT Nuggets. And if you're interested in IT career or learning more about IT in general, hey, swing by cbtnuggets.com and sign up for a free trial.